All right, this is episode 2 of many from Granite City Waagh 2023. In this episode, we are joined by guest Dan, aka DC Bruins. He was doing commissions today during the Waagh, and he just was so kind to do an interview with us and talk about all of his art, what he does, how he animates. Yeah, he was very, very kind. Please go check him out. You can just Google DC Bruins. You can see his art through the many websites. You can check out his YouTube page, DC Bruins. All right, let's cue the music. All right, and we're back with Dan. I forget your last name.
Dan Bruins. Hello.
Dan Bruins. Hello.
Also known, you would find me on the internet under like Sir Dub or DC Bruins. That's me.
Well, nice to be here. I hear you have a little bit of internet fame to you.
It kind of happened in like 2020 or so. Yeah.
Tell us about it.
So like all the nonsense that happened in 2020.
Yep.
Everyone's miserable. Everyone's like having a great time.
Yeah, of course.
At that point, I was just like looking around in like an old hard drive for like some other files, and I stumbled on an unfinished short film based in the BattleTech and MechWarrior universe.
Nice.
It was never going to be done because all the programs that I had used at the time to make it had all updated, and it broke all of the 3D models. It broke all the assets. Everything fell apart. So it was like, this would be like 200-300 hours to actually fix all of this. Whatever. There's some finished stuff. There's some not finished stuff. I'm gonna throw it online. Maybe some people will like get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
Like 80,000 hits later. It just became like a giant thing. It just sort of spiraled. If you guys have ever heard, like, if you are into the whole like BattleTech scene a little bit, if you've ever heard of Tex Talks BattleTech, yeah. At some point, this dude went out like, yeah, you want to like come and do like art for some of like the next Tex Talks?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Oh, sure. Yeah, that's fine. They just kept like.
So you kind of just stumbled into this.
Yeah, my sort of like personal philosophy is, no matter how difficult the road gets, no matter how like much gets piled on top of you, you're not going to get to the goals that you want, and that's okay as long as you keep making stuff.
Yeah.
Keep making something, and as long as you are in that position, you are just making something.
Yep.
Like every single time I've just committed to doing that, things just kept snowballing after that. So it's like, okay, cool. I've just got a whole bunch of stuff already set to go.
Yeah.
Let's do this. So that's sort of how it popped off.
Nice. That's actually really inspiring because, like, me myself, I would call myself an artist of sorts. I used to write a bunch of comics. Mm-hmm. Now I do a lot of podcasting, and it's kind of just my philosophy is just keep making content, keep making things. So slowly starting getting into the YouTube, starting doing reels, kind of get into that, and with the same hope of like, hopefully one of these things is going to hit, and then it will just kind of snowball, like how your situation is. And what medium did your artwork kind of popped off on?
Originally, it was a combination of the actual program used is Adobe Animate. It used to be Flash, like Newground stuff.
Yep.
So like that's what I actually draw all of the sketches out in, because Animate Flash, this Adobe product is really good for quickly iterating on individual shots and like dynamic camera motion, partially because it has pretty decent animation controls and you can like move a camera around in like on a stage, but also because the drawing tools are terrible. They're horrendous. Like you put a line down and it actually makes the mark about 4 inches up and to the left.
That's what you want to do.
It randomly snaps points together. Things just like stuttering around everywhere. It forces you to not be precious about what you're drawing.
Yeah.
And you're just like, nope, that's sort of the face. It's kind of looking that way. Great, moving on. And you just have to do that because if you try to polish anything, the program will fuck you. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah. No, swearing's all good.
every single time. And if you really try to like bend it over backwards in order to like get it to work, it'll just crash. So that's what happens.
Kind of forces you just to kind of go with the flow.
Yeah. So original sketches were made in Adobe Animate.
Nice. Okay.
It got the actual animation was kind of polished up in Animate. Again, bending it over backwards and hitting it with a hammer.
Yeah.
And then for the actual like battle mechs for these giant robots moving around, like, punching each other really hard in the face. I actually went over to Blender, a 3D modeling and animation program.
Yep.
Put those together, rigged them, textured them, made animations for them, exported those as PNG images, and took those back into a compositing program. Layered that on top of everything.
Nice.
And did a bunch of like background paintings in Photoshop.
Yeah.
So the whole thing like all over itself.
No, that's really cool. Sounds very complicated and like very complex.
It's kind of like an entire industry that is like a whole animation pipeline. Like
a whole lot of
or thousands of people in any particular.
You have to know so many different tools.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, it's a lot sometimes.
So how long have you been using like Blender and stuff like that? Like
Blender, I really started learning in like 2011 or so.
So you got some experience under your belt then.
You like bounce back and forth between a bunch of things as you use them. Most of my experience is in like the Adobe suite, because that's like what I use for my day job, which is just pre-press stuff for like getting stuff ready to print, basically.
Okay.
So
yeah. Wait, what is your day job, if you don't mind me asking?
I Photoshop logos onto gift cards and make sure that it'll run on the press correctly.
Okay.
Like all the color settings are correct.
Yeah.
Like no images are too low resolution. All that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Pretty simple. Here's the thing. Put it on the thing. Make it work. And you just do that 100 times a day.
Nice.
It's not bad. And then I go home and just go and make shit.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what do you? So right now you're sketching your sketchbook. What, as an artist, what kind of gives you that satisfaction feeling the most when it comes to sketching in your sketchbook, or is it when you're working on like Adobe Suite?
It sort of depends on what you're working on at the time. I do. In the last year or so, it has become a little bit more satisfying to be able to sit down with an actual physical piece of paper and take tools and put them on there, because I know a fucking computer can't do this.
Yeah.
I can do this, and a fucking algorithm cannot do this.
That's right.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Journey. I have opinions.
Yeah.
Hey man, this is the place to express those opinions.
Yeah. So like there's that, and then a lot of times the biggest sort of emotional high that I have gotten in the past couple of months or so is I kind of DM my own D&D game.
Yeah.
Okay.
And every so often it's like, okay, so you run into, I'm actually like drawing, this is one of the NPCs for an intrigue plot that I'm running.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so like you run into this person in the corner. This is what they look like. This is what they're presenting as. This is what they're sort of doing. And literally just this week, one of my players had a very good conversation with one of these NPCs that was not supposed to take her side.
Huh.
And they got it. And like, well, shit, I have to do something cool with this now. So at the end of this intrigue plot, when shit really starts popping off, and like the knives in the dark start coming out, I went and pre-recorded a monologue of this character preparing for war.
Oh, okay.
And I went back and I was like, you know what? I'm going to open up Logic Pro. I'm going to take out a nice like cello set, and I'm just going to write a background music for this, put this all together, and then when this thing actually comes around in the Discord call, I'm going to say, hey, here's the MP3 file. Everyone hit play and give me a thumbs up when you're done, and then we'll move on from there.
That's awesome.
That is dope.
Yeah, there's a
that
lot
is.
of fun.
So I haven't actually played D&D. I definitely want to get into it. Me and Tom are. You're actually going to be recording one this summer at some point whenever I get more microphones.
Yeah.
You're down. All right, we got another person in. But it sounds like you're definitely one of those DMs that just goes all out. Because right now you're sketching your NPC. You have a monologue.
When you have the chance, I got it. You got to go extra on it.
That's awesome.
Like, you got to go hard.
I've always was intrigued with doing a DM just because I write a lot of stories, so I feel like I'd be great at it. But at the same time, I feel like whoever I was with it'd be like just a headache and conundrum.
I DM'd a little bit with our play group, and it was a lot of fun. But you do also, I enjoyed playing as well.
Yeah,
and
me too.
That's where, it's a little bit of a.
Yeah, so I'm DMing in this one game, and then I actually get to be like a player in like the family game with my brothers, which is a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so you get both.
It's a very different experience from both
very much
sides.
so, very much so. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool being on the DM side, kind of pulling all the strings and knowing what's going on in the background and planning these cool different experiences and stuff like that for players to encounter.
This person definitely seems like this person seems like a villain, and we shouldn't trust them. And you just sit in the corner okay.
If only you knew.
This is the person that wanted you to be here.
Yeah. That kind of thing. So I have a question about your artwork. So you were making a poster, and I was told it took you it takes you usually somewhere between 2 and 3 weeks to finish a poster.
I got a day job, and I got like things to do with it, but like ultimately it comes down to
with color too.
Yeah, that's like a little bit of an extra bit to it. Most of the posters that came out for I did for Waaagh here are maybe like 6 or 7 total sitting hours at a computer just making the thing. Okay.
I was gonna say it seems like pretty impressive to do like within 2 3 week turnaround, because I know like with art it's one of the things that takes forever. Like my wife is a pretty big artist, or I would say she's an artist, but it takes her months sometimes to finish a project, especially with the day job and now with kids.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that making animations really teaches you is draw fast. Just draw it fast, and if it's bad, delete it and start over.
Yep.
Which honestly, like you'll get it better the next time, and you will waste less time trying to fix everything, as opposed to just you chuck it out and you just make a new one. So yeah, there are a lot of
animation kind of covers a lot too.
Oh man,
movement and stuff.
Try animating giant robots and tell me how many individual lines you have to draw for that.
Yeah,
man, like those old school Studio Sunrise, like Gundam and Cowboy Bebop, that hand-drawn mecha is honestly like it is remarkable that exists, and it exists in the state that it does.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your favorite thing to draw? Like if you had to pick, let's say if someone comes and is like, draw me your most just favorite piece, what would you draw?
Are you saying like piece or like full-on project?
Full-on project.
Okay, so full-on project is something that I've been sort of blinking away at for the last like year or so. It's about a 2 or 3 minute animation starting up on an original story.
Yep.
Right? Entirely an epic, heartfelt fantasy adventure in a world populated entirely by robots.
Okay.
All right.
Right? The pitch is the old gods sent us to this place to prepare a garden out of this world. But when we sent our call, our prayer, back to the sky, no one answered. And that was like thousands of years ago, and then, like civilization collapsed. You were in like the remnants of this vast, ancient sort of ruins, and you just have like a little repair bot, and like a big like bird hawk-faced like soldier, and they're both just like trying to make their way through this broken world. They're trying to like fix what little things they can of it. Yeah.
That sounds, from like a visual standpoint, that sounds like it'd be freaking awesome.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun.
For sure.
Awesome, nice.
Yeah.
Have you ever drawn like anything comic book related at all, or would you be interested in any comic book related stuff?
Actually, for the past like 10 years or so, there's a tiny little like an art house. It's a bookstore now, way down in like southern Minnesota. I teach a comic book class to a bunch of elementary and middle schoolers every summer. It's a little summer camp thing. Cool. Yeah.
Super cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm kind of picturing myself here because I used to like write for comic books, so I talk to a lot of artists, but I haven't had anything like established at all.
The thing that like kind of gets me or like irks me about comics, this is nothing. It's nothing to do with like the industry or anything. It's just comics as a medium. Is I can't write music for it. I want to write music, and I want there to be timing, and I want I need to figure out some happy medium between making full-on animations and something I can actually produce in a reasonable time frame.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. I'm trying to think of like how we would incorporate music. Well, I know there's ways to incorporate music into comic books. Because I've read. Have you ever heard of Tom King at all?
No.
You've heard of Tom King, right?
No.
I feel like I talked to Tom King.
Maybe.
So Tom King, he's a comic book writer. He used to be a CIA agent, and he incorporates a lot of either poems or music into his books. And a lot of times, one of the most famous ones is Batman and Catwoman. He used to write 75 issues of Batman. He was one of the main Batman writers.
Okay.
And he has this whole issue where like it's just these two falling in love again, and it's just like them singing a song in between.
Yeah.
And so he's one of the few artists that I know that incorporates music into his, you know, the comic book itself. But the thing is, you can't listen to it.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard to make a song appear in somebody's head.
I feel like you could do that on a digital medium, though. If
Like,
you're able,
like a
digital-
light novel type thing.
Yeah.
Something that's like in between the animation and the graphic
Yeah,
novel
that's
style.
that, or like an animated storyboard or
Yeah.
animatic or something of that sort. That's actually sort of what happened with the next big Mech Warrior BattleTech project that I ended up doing in like 2021 was a short, just like an action scene that I like put all the characters together, put the entire story together, put everything out there, and like also wrote the music for it. So it's like this is what I'm picturing, and this is what it looks like, and this is what I'm hearing, and this is what you're going to see while it's happening.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is really cool that you have you're both like an artist, like drawing wise and animation wise, but also an artist in creating music as well.
Yeah.
It's I know like when you're younger you kind of venture into many mediums, but it's rare for when you're an adult to like stick with multiple mediums. Usually you kind of go into one.
I am going to right now. I'm going to be one of the rare folks who I'm going to vouch for my liberal arts education.
Yeah.
Straight out.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm going to do that. Like.
Okay. Respect.
I didn't expect it to take quite as well as it did.
Yeah.
10 years later, but it was like, yeah. So I can go to a biology class in the morning, go to a history class in the afternoon, go to a figure drawing class later that evening, and then the next day I'm going to sit down and practice with the rest of the school orchestra.
Yeah.
So it's like it kind of forces you to get that sort of surface level understanding of a bunch of different just like ways of thinking or like modes of thought, and it's like, okay, here's like that. We're going to equip your brain to like learn how to learn things. Now go nuts and learn the rest of it.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think the world has definitely changed because like 10 years ago or 20 years ago when you go into college, you usually went for a very specific reason.
Right.
At least not, the first 2 years you definitely get more broad, but then you go into a very specific career, and usually you go to college to, for said career. But now when you have more of a broad education, there's many ways to get an income now. You don't necessarily need to learn one thing to get income. You can learn a broad amount of things, and then through internet, different mediums, you can use those skills. Like yourself, you have music, you have art, you can use it all to kind of create your own business.
Yeah.
And you can definitely do that more these days compared to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and definitely 30 years ago when the internet didn't even really exist.
Yeah, that was honestly that was my sort of focus when I went into school. It's like I want to learn how to do animation. I want to learn how to do these things.
Yeah.
These are the skills that I want. And this school that because I have to I play the viola, not well. They're desperate for viola players because not many people actually do it. Threw a bunch of scholarship money and okay, fine, I'll go here. And the school sort of forced me to be more well-rounded than I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I think that actually turned out better in the long run. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, we're getting to a point in our interesting period in history where you might study for a job that might no longer exist.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
what the fuck are you supposed to do at that point? Mm-hmm.
Or the fact that most people switch careers 3 to 5 times in their lifetime. So studying for one career and being 5 years later,
Yeah.
And then realizing you hate it or something.
Yeah,
after you graduate.
For myself, I worked with young kids. That was my career path. But now I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I have no immune system, so working with kids is very problematic.
Yeah, it might be a bit tricky.
So now I'm in a little bit of I got to switch, but I have such a broad education that I feel that I could make that switch. Where it's before, if I would just stick with one major the entire time.
It'd be tougher to find something in a different
Yeah.
direction.
So you're very famous in the Warhammer world, right?
Completely unknown in Warhammer.
Yeah.
A little bit well known in BattleTech.
BattleTech, gotcha.
Yes.
Sorry, I know very little about BattleTech when it comes to Warhammer. I know.
Okay, so can I give you like the
Yes,
the,
please.
the elevator
Please.
pitch for BattleTech?
Yes.
Game of Thrones in space. Instead of knights fighting on horseback with swords, it's giant robots punching each other really hard in the face.
That sounds great.
Sounds awesome.
Right? Like Machiavellian machinations, backstabbing, interstellar space empires, space operatic plot lines, and it's all resolved in like hard sci-fi like military conflicts of like this unit is going to engage with this unit. They have like defilade fire on this particular pass, and whether or not they're able to push through and break this line is going to determine who controls this planet for the next 100 years or so.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
High stakes.
Yeah, and then there's like these like kind of like inbred, kind of genetically modified space fascists that kind of show up out of nowhere. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It happens.
I mean, you can't have a space opera without space fascists.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the whole thing is based on like the sort of like after echoes of like the fall of Rome, right? So
Yeah.
it's like there was once an interstellar, not intergalactic, it's like one galaxy. There's an empire called the Star League. Everyone was united under that. There's a Star League civil war because one thing about BattleTech is it's really stuck with hereditary rulers and hereditary monarchs, and it sort of explores when that is good and when that is bad. In the case of the fall of the Star League, the first lord of the Star League, the emperor of humanity, was like a 15-year-old kid.
Okay.
He was like super impressionable, and this kind of backstabbing schemer called Stefan Amaris, who in all of the official art is just this like big fat dude with like a Fu Manchu mustache. It's very 80s. It's very 80s.
Okay.
Works his way into the inner circle of the First Lord's like his friendship, right? Gains his trust, and I think it was like on his birthday, presented the First Lord with a jewel-encrusted laser pistol. Held it up to the light,
Yep.
and then blew his fucking brains out.
Oh, okay.
And that's how you get ahead in the inner sphere.
Yeah.
I stole that quote from text. That's what it is. Which leads to a gigantic civil war. Like our like hero general comes in, is Alexander Kerensky, trying to move his way back and conquers Earth. But there's no First Lord anymore. The entire First Lord's family is dead. There is no ruler for humanity. So all the individual states of the Star League are like, what if it was us though?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Kerensky's like, oh fuck this. I'm gonna take my entire army, the biggest army in the inner sphere, and we're just gonna fuck off, we're gonna leave. Y'all short your shit out, right?
Yeah.
Thus ensues like a 300 or so year like a warring states period where just like technological regression, war crimes. It's a whole thing, whole 9 yards. So eventually you end up with, it starts with, here are some regularly issued military units that like there's full armies of like hundreds of one individual mech design, because that's what this unit uses.
Yeah.
But they eventually get whittled down over 300 years of like the industrial base falling away to like the point where these robots, these mechs they become like priceless and like status symbols that are passed down like from family to family, right? So from father to son, it goes down the line. So they become these like ancient relics, these like old gods that you have to rise to like duel with another rival lord to control a planet, kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
it gets really cool.
How is this not an HBO show already?
Probably because it's really expensive to animate.
I mean,
robots.
probably, yeah.
Also,
Yeah,
BattleTech was originally created by a company called FASA.
Okay.
They went under in early 2000s or so and had to sell all of their properties.
Yeah.
And like all of their rights got like cut up, completely dissected.
So take a million different people agreeing with it.
Microsoft has the rights to make the video games. Catalyst Games now has the right to make the tabletop. I think someone else has the rights to make like a tabletop RPG game. Topps card company, like trading card company, like ultimately owns the entire IP, and I believe visual and film rights are owned by Disney. So
Sounds about right.
good luck.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Wait, Disney?
Yeah.
Also,
What don't they own?
believe
Yeah, that's fair.
What don't they own?
I don't ever see Disney actually making, well, maybe on Hulu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because they don't make it doesn't mean they don't own it.
Right, that's very
That's
true.
fair, that's fair.
So
Plenty of
Awesome.
stuff.
So you mostly do commissions for BattleTech then?
that's mostly what I'm known for, yeah.
Okay.
Every so often, I'll be completely honest. This is nepotism right here. What, like sitting at this table?
Yeah.
Tom Chatfield,
Yeah.
one of the staff here.
Yep.
That's my cousin.
Yeah.
I was just like,
He's a regular guest on the show.
yeah, we were just like talking over Thanksgiving. He's like, yeah, you've got the Warhammer tournament. You want a poster? Yeah, sure. I'll whip that up for you.
Yeah.
You want to just like come by? Okay. Like yeah, we'll like pay like the drink tab and just beyond that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
You want to
right.
set up a table too? Okay. Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Keep making things. And when opportunities come, to say yes.
Yep.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing you ever had to make for like drawings or animation? If I had a commission.
That would be, without a doubt, the largest animation project I've ever worked on.
All right.
Is a short at the end of Tex Talks BattleTech for the Warhammer episode. Not Warhammer the game. There's a mech in the universe called the Warhammer.
Okay.
At the end of that, okay, I've got to. We're gonna dig down into a meme here. Okay?
All right.
I'm here for it.
One of the nations in the BattleTech universe is called the Lyran Alliance or the Lyran Commonwealth, part of the Federated Commonwealth. They're the Lyran folks, and it's held by House Steiner. Very Germanic, right?
Yeah.
The Lyran Commonwealth is really known mostly for being the most wealthy of all of the 5 successor states, but they're not really known for having really great generals.
Okay.
Very like social generals, right? So it's
Yeah.
like you know who you know, and that's the person that's the reason why you can get
Not necessarily fear.
yeah. So the fluff is, the strategy is, they make up for what they lack in like leadership and command with just sheer metal and being able to field more bigger units than everyone else can. So the heaviest, most like imposing mech in the universe at the time is called the Atlas. It's a gigantic skull-faced bruiser, right? Absolute top of the scale. The joke is that a Steiner Scout Lance of mechs is just 4 Atlases.
Okay.
Right? It's like a Steiner Scout Lance. It can outmaneuver most fortifications. Right?
Yeah.
So, that's the meme. Tex Talks BattleTech came to me and said, okay, so this is what we're going to do. We got this like feudal lord dictator and he's got like an army on parade. He's running through it. They're revealing a big dumb statue or something, whatever. And then the Steiner Scout lands and just starts fucking his shit up. And you're gonna do this to this soundtrack. He uploads an MP3 file of just the worst polka you could possibly imagine. So we start with this like grim, imposing, like very Warhammer style military parade, which then gets interrupted by a dropship crashing into the statue, and 4 giant robots in lederhosen just start beating the shit out of everything. Like one of them like raises a gigantic beer mug, it splashes out everywhere. There's like the one there's a one like a pretty green dress that's like straight out of The hills are alive with the sound of music.
Oh, yeah. Sound of music.
Yeah, Sound of Music. Look, straight out of that, she like just picks up a tank and starts beating another mech to death with said tank. People are getting suplexed. One of them, like one of these robots, is like he specifically requested. Okay, so that one shot from the old Star Trek episode where Kirk fights the Gorn. I want you to draw one of these mechs as the Gorn getting its head blown off. Sure, you got it. And then this dude. You're gonna draw this Atlas just elbow dropping one of the bad guy mechs from the sky, and we're gonna end this with one of these dudes in a Lands Connect uniform picking up the feudal lord with a halberd and just whipping him out, flies towards the moon, and the moon explodes, and that's the end of this.
Wow.
That sounds like a lot.
That was like
How long did that take you?
like 6 6 months.
That sounds about right.
For about 2 minutes of animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
One man doing all that.
Yeah.
that's intense.
Fully colored, fully realized. I wrote the music for the first like 30 seconds of it because we didn't have an intro for it.
Yeah.
So here we go. This is what we have.
That's very impressive.
And,
That is very impressive.
yeah. Yeah, so that's where like most of the commission work is honestly
Yeah.
really going because they're big projects. I have
Yeah,
to
it sounds-
sort of
yeah.
categorize. Okay, guys, once all of this is done, then I can deal with the rest.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing.
Nice.
That's probably a big part of it is just trying to balance
Yeah.
everything because
Yeah.
you can only do so much at a certain
Yeah.
time.
So literally just yesterday, probably a little bit more tomorrow, I'm finishing up the end credits animation for the next episode.
Okay,
I
okay,
can't tell
nice.
you what that is yet, but
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What was it? You said it's for a podcast?
it's for a YouTube channel
Okay,
called it's called the Black Pants Legion.
Okay.
And the main show is Tex Talks BattleTech, which is you've seen like Oculus Imperia or Luton or like Adeptus Ridiculous, like folks who go into Warhammer lore.
Yep.
This dude does full-on Ken Burns style documentaries
Nice.
about BattleTech,
Okay.
interspersed with lots and lots of memes and shitposts.
So if we want to learn about the war and stuff,
That's where you go.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
where
Again, what is that called?
Tex Talks BattleTech.
Text
Text
talk.
talk.
Yeah.
Like text, like Texas?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to hold you up too long for a potential commission. It seems like the people are starting to die a little bit. So I have one more question before you go.
Of course.
So when you're not working on animation, when you're not working on drawing, what are you nerding out on?
Well, that's a good question.
Ooh.
So it could be TV shows, it could be video games, books. What are you nerding out on when you're taking a break?
I have way too many hours in War Thunder.
War Thunder?
War Thunder, the vehicle combat
Yeah.
game. Like, I have way too many hours in like a
like one of
BF
those
109 and a Spitfire, just like flying around. Mouse and keyboard, man,
Just
so nice.
Nice.
Lots and lots of that. Gosh, what else? Oh, the thing that I'm nerding out at, which is completely separate from all of this,
Yep.
all of tabletop gaming, all of everything. There is an online web series by a magnificent animator. Her name is Betsy Lee.
Okay.
The animation series is called No Evil.
No evil.
It is a story about like anthropomorphic Native American and like Central American and South American spirits with this like Appalachian sort of vibe to everything. Just having like madcap adventures with one another.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds fun.
And like eventually it escalates to the point of like, oh, there's a real story here, and like
Okay.
there's like real magic in the world.
There you
Some
go.
of the best written characters I've ever seen. Some of like the best dialogue that I've ever seen in anything.
Nice.
Period.
No evil it's called.
No evil.
Where can we find that?
It's on YouTube.com.
YouTube?
Just search up No Evil.
No evil. So we got Text Talks, BattleTech, and then No Evil.
No Evil is like little chunks of animation, maybe like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5
Yeah.
minutes, like tiny little shorts. There's about 40 or so episodes. You can get through the whole thing in an afternoon. If folks want to go for it, go to about episode, I think it's episode 9 or so.
Okay.
They cast magic spells by
Yeah.
singing folk songs.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm in that.
And the cast of the show
Yeah.
do performances of these folk songs.
Nice.
That's cool.
It's actually magical. It's
Okay.
amazing. Like,
right,
there's a
check it out.
moment. There's a moment. You're gonna know when that moment hits.
All right.
It's like, oh, they have to like perform this ritual, and they do it by singing in a round in like several harmonic beats. They sing "Wayfaring Stranger"
Yeah.
in order to cast a spell, and it's like mesmerizing.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I have to check that out.
Go for that.
All right.
For sure.
Well, thank you, Dan. All right. Where can my listeners find you? Where can my listeners find you?
Probably gonna be in the credits of the next Text Talks BattleTech.
You have any social media or anything?
Yeah, a bunch of Instagram stuff. Honestly, if you just like go to Google, type in Sir Dub Dub, DUB, or DC Bruins.
Okay.
Like Bruins is in like Bears, the hockey team.
Yeah. Okay.
And that'll pull basically everything right up.
Okay. Perfect.
Well, thank you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right. Yep. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, we talked
Best
to
luck
you.
with everything.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, good luck with the rest of your artwork for the
Yeah,
day.
you too.